Hi everyone, I'm Anuradha Chowdhary. I'm a tech and media lawyer and I work with a law firm called Universal Legal, where we do all sorts of cool things such as crypto, tech, intellectual property, and of course NFTs. And yes, that's precisely what we'll be chatting about today, NFTs, that's non-fungible tokens. NFTs are all the rage right now and are completely shaking up the art world, and artists have become very crucial to the NFT industry. This session is being hosted by LawWiser, which is India's first video-only knowledge-sharing platform on law and policy. They help businesses better understand and navigate legal and regulatory changes. So it's not just me who will be talking today. I'm joined by one of the country's top artists and the most reputed sculptor, Arzan Khambatta. Arzan, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So we're all set to go. Can't wait to start. But first, I'm going to take a photograph of this session.
Sure.
So trust me, guys, having worked on a bunch of these NFT transactions, a photo like this with Arzan Khambatta can sell for the big bucks.
Sure.
So the first one's for you, Arzan.
Yes.
When you started out, I'm guessing technology like this was only heard of in sci-fi movies. But now that it's here and you've already had such an illustrious career in a pre-NFT world, and you're all set for Web 3.0, what has your journey into the NFT world been like?
So basically, just to give you a background, as you say, I started in sculpting in 82. Okay. Forget NFTs. There was no internet. There was no computers, nothing. It was just absolute stone ages. And till today, I mean, just to give you a background, when I give my designs, I do proper pure pencil sketches and charcoal sketches. So many of the clients say, why don't you do computer renderings, whereby you can see the actual piece as to how it looks like and all that. And I refuse to do that because I still believe in my sketches and all. So that's to give you an idea of how far away I am from the technological part. But having said that, I keep on experimenting on my machinery, and that is, of course, up to date. But I always believe in the actual making of the piece, to use technology in the actual making it rather than designing it. So coming to the NFT phase, when someone explained to me what it was about, I was wondering, I said, what the hell is this? You know, there's one little GIF and one little video of 6 seconds selling for that and all that. And there's a neighbor I have who took a lot of interest in me and kept on sending me these messages about going into NFTs and all that. And it went over my head, completely over my head. And then I had this client of mine who essentially is into making of NFTs, and he approached me. And he said, would you be willing to just sort of let me handle your making of the NFT and minting of the NFT, etc., etc.? So I said, fine. I said, that I can do. I said, what do I have to do? He said, you have to just show me which piece you want done. We'll take a sort of recording of it and put it out there. He explained to me much more in detail, 90% of it which just went over my head. But for me, I give everything one shot, you know, literally everything, whatever it is. I would never say that, oh my God, this looks dicey and this is very new, so why try it? I always would try it. And that's how I jumped into it. Perhaps if I had to do it myself, I would have shied away from it. Okay. But here, there was a solid backing of someone who said, I will be handling everything. I'll be handling the posting of the NFTs, the sale of the NFTs and all that, for a percentage, of course. So then that's when I agreed upon it. And the journey's just begun. So I don't know where I'm heading, but like I said, I'm willing to give everything a try. So fingers crossed, and let's see where it goes, you know.
Okay, that's great. I think warming up to the idea of NFTs is especially difficult, you know, for artists who are already established. I think for most millennials and Gen Z kids, we were born in the lap of technology.
Correct.
For instance, when I'm trying to explain to my mom what an NFT is, it's very difficult to get her to believe in the concept. She's an artist, so she does oil on canvas.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really great that you warmed up to the idea of it.
Yeah. So tell me, in coming to you, what does minting of an NFT mean? And how do you look at NFTs? What is it from the legal standpoint? And what do you understand from it?
Okay. So before we get into what an NFT is, I'll explain to you the difference between fungibility and non-fungibility. So something that's fungible is something that can easily be replaced. For example, a 100-rupee note can easily be replaced with another 100-rupee note. But something that's non-fungible is something that's unique and it cannot easily be replaced. For example, one of your sculptures cannot be replaced with one of my sculptures.
Okay.
So, okay, let me illustrate further. So, if you take a painting, like for example, Starry Night by Van Gogh, which is
Yeah.
unique because there's only one such original work, you can use your iPhone and take an image of it, but it'll only be a copy of the real thing. NFTs are basically one of a kind assets in the digital world that you can buy and sell like your property. But
Okay.
these digital assets have no tangible form of their own usually. So these think of digital tokens as certificates of ownership for
Okay.
virtual or physical assets. Like traditional works of art, such as paintings or the sculptures that you make, are valuable because they're one of a kind, right?
Correct.
But the issue with digital files is that they can be easily and endlessly duplicated. So with NFTs, a work of art can be tokenized to create a digital certificate of ownership that can be bought and sold online.
Correct. Okay.
Now that NFTs are part of the crypto world, where basically all transactions are recorded on a distributed ledger, which we all know is called the blockchain, it's almost impossible to hack or mess with that ledger because
Okay.
the records are maintained in thousands of computers around the world. So
Okay.
NFTs often use smart contracts, which means that artists get a commission or their fair share from the sale of a token. That's the digital form of their work, all thanks to a bunch of code on the blockchain.
Okay. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. So, I mean, as simple as that. Till now, having spoken to these chaps, having heard about it, I today you told me what fungible and non-fungible is. So sometimes you, it literally is that.
Yeah.
I mean, I required it to be that simple for me to understand.
Yeah, literally, like I can't take one of your sculptors and replace it with one
Correct.
of mine because
Got it.
it would not fly.
Got
So
it.
basically, when we're talking about minting or tokenizing something, like the process of making a digital file into an NFT is called minting.
Okay.
So for the digital file to actually become an NFT, it needs to form part of the blockchain ledger, which is what we spoke about. So
Okay.
minting basically turns a simple file into a crypto asset, which can be traded on a digital marketplace such as OpenSea using cryptocurrencies or in some instances even fiat currency.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know this, but Viacom has now launched Fully Faltu. At least they've announced. I think they're in the stages of launching it, which is an NFT marketplace, but they will be using fiat currency, which is actual currency instead of crypto. The situation of cryptocurrency in India is probably a wise approach.
Oh, super. Good. Glad to know. So, one more thing. Can you tell me how NFTs are minted for artwork specifically?
Okay. So when you decide to create an NFT, you must first mint the digital version of your artwork. So for example, if you want to mint an NFT from your sculpture, painting, you will have to create a digital file of that artwork and then upload the digital file on the NFT marketplace or platform that you're using. Now, each NFT marketplace has a slightly different method on how to mint an NFT, and there are a couple of different steps involved. But what essentially happens when you upload the digital file is that a token gets attached to it and it gets uploaded onto the blockchain being used, thus minting an NFT. You also need to pay a fee, which is known as a gas fee, to initiate the transaction on the blockchain and publish your artwork as an NFT. The most common blockchain that's being used for this is Ethereum, but it's not the only one. Polygon has also become very popular now. But one thing that you need to remember is that the NFT is not the digital file or the digital content. It's a representation of that file or content on the blockchain network.
Okay. Oh, excellent. So, as an artist, particularly for me, my whole morning, my whole day is at the studio. Okay, I'm creating sculptures, and I don't pay attention too much to what is happening in the NFT world. If I have to get into it, what do I have to remember? What are my rights? What am I supposed to do to be a part of this? Can you just sort of highlight that part, please?
Sure. So having worked a bunch on these transactions, I think it's crucial for an artist to understand that when you mint an NFT or you permit a marketplace to mint on your behalf, any transfer of that NFT will likely mean transfer of ownership of the NFT. But the copyright in the underlying artwork will remain with you.
Okay.
So copyright law basically provides a bundle of rights which are exclusive to the owner of the copyright in the work. So these rights would include the right to reproduce, the right to prepare derivatives, distribute copies, publicly perform, publicly display, and so on. NFT collectors are not allowed to do any of that. They only have the right to sell, trade, and transfer the NFT. Now, as an artist, you should ask yourself a couple of questions before you mint a new piece. Okay. The first and the most important being, is the artwork that you want to mint original and unique and created by you?
Okay.
Minting a non-original artwork or stealing art from someone else would be considered as copyright infringement.
Okay. Okay.
Second thing you should ask yourself would be, have you created the artwork underlying the NFT yourself or in collaboration with other artists? So if you want to mint a collaborative artwork, you need to make sure that you have authorization from the contributing artist.
Okay.
Then you would ask yourself, are you the owner of the artwork's IP? So you make sure that the underlying artwork of the NFT has not been commissioned by someone else. Because you might not own the IP rights if the artwork was created for someone else as a commissioned piece. For example, if you created it for an employer, you created, someone paid money and said, okay, we're commissioning you to do this. If you've already licensed or transferred your rights to that piece also, you might want to review these contracts before minting the artwork. And of course, you always want to consult a lawyer too. Another question you'd ask yourself is, does your artwork incorporate another, not only if it's in collaboration, but does your artwork incorporate another artist's work? If yes, then you have to make sure that you have the right to do that. You need to get permission from that artist. So when you're minting an NFT or when you're authorizing someone else, like a marketplace, to mint it on your behalf, you need to make sure you've read the terms and conditions of the NFT market that you're using. A marketplace would usually require you to grant certain rights to them to further sell your NFT. For example, they'd want you to give them the right to promote it in various ways, make videos of it or some things that are a little offshooting from actually minting an NFT. Now, once you've minted a piece of artwork on a marketplace as an NFT, you should not ideally mint it on any other platform, because most of these platforms have the right to delete that NFT or even then ban you from their platform. So while NFTs prevent digital art from being replicated without consent, it's difficult to limit who can create the NFT in the first place. And because of this, we see many instances of infringement where someone has gone and minted an NFT from another person's artwork. So while you can file a copyright infringement suit against such theft, it's challenging to ascertain if it's happened in the first place.
Correct. So basically what you're saying, if someone else picks up my sculpture out in public and makes an NFT from it, I can sort of challenge that, correct?
Yes, you can file a copyright infringement suit, but where the challenge comes up is that it's difficult to find this. You'd have to go, for example, if someone takes your sculpture and mints an NFT and puts it on OpenSea or any other NFT platform, I don't think there's any software, there's any way to ascertain how to check this. You'll have to go on the marketplace. You'd generally be searching for this if someone has done this. So that's where the challenge comes up. It's kind of difficult to stop them from doing it. But if you do find someone who does it, of course, you can take legal action.
And most of my pieces are commissioned pieces. So, except for the pieces which are made and with me at the studio, most of the pieces which are at the client's home, if I'm putting an NFT of that, I definitely have to ask the client's permission, correct? There has to be a proper permission from.
So, for example, if it's a work for hire, if it's a commission piece, you would have entered into a contract with them.
Correct.
Ideally, that contract should have a strong intellectual property clause, which tells you that these are your rights, these are the client's rights, this is what you can do, and this is what you cannot do.
Correct.
So that has to be contractually agreed upon, but it has to be well defined and it needs to be very clear.
So this adds a complete new dimension into putting things down when I'm taking on a new work now. So I would also think of including the rights to make an NFT now. So it's totally new. Okay, got that. I got that. Thank you.
So for you, I have a question. From your experience, what are the top 3 things that you would advise an artist looking to venture into the digital world?
Number 1, I would say, get into it definitely, for sure. Definitely give it a shot. And because it's all very new, I think, isn't it? And every artist who's creative, I think, would want to do new things. So definitely do not look at the negative points of whatever you've heard about it. Number one, jump into it and try it out. Okay. Number two, I would say, being an artist, which is true to your craft, stick to what you're doing and let someone else handle this. I would also advise that, because it's quite complex. As you say, it is simple because you've done it a lot of times. But to an artist, when you sort of there's so many things involved, it becomes a little complex, and I don't want the artist's work to suffer because he's thinking about that. So I would say stick to the making of your pieces and let someone else handle that. And number three, I would say, of course, take into account all the new laws that are happening and things around you which you need to take care before you make an NFT and before you get into an agreement with someone to create an NFT. So I think these are the three main things I would take care of.
Okay, that's very good advice. Okay, I'm probably going to pass that on to my mother as well. I've been trying to convince her, but it's challenging. Maybe after she watches this conversation, she'll be a little bit inclined.
So besides NFTs, there's this other word which I keep on hearing, which is Metaverse. What exactly is this Metaverse? I mean, and how is the NFT connected to the Metaverse? Is it a part of it, or what is it? If you can throw some light on that, please.
Sure. So, of course, in theory, the metaverse is a concept of a 3D world which we can all enter using a VR, a virtual reality headset. But in practice, it means that this conversation would be happening via our 3D avatars at a virtual studio where our audience would be seated as well.
Oh, okay.
We can work, we can attend concerts, we can work out, we can even play a sport in the metaverse without having to travel or use any physical resources. And there's also more than one metaverse, right? There are several companies that are working on a variety of them, each with its own set of network protocols. Now, these metaverses all have the same goal in mind. That's to allow more overlap between our physical lives and our digital lives. Now, to answer the latter part of your question, or basically, let me try to scale this up with an example, okay? NFTs allow for the purchase or sale of one-of-a-kind digital artworks in the metaverse. If we wanted to, for example, think about if we wanted to conduct a global auction of artists' work in an art gallery where art enthusiasts could go get up close and personal with the art in virtual reality and purchase the NFT in this virtual reality room or auction house itself using cryptocurrency. So this video chat would essentially be an immersive virtual experience in the metaverse, which would serve as an art gallery today. And tomorrow it could be a football stadium, it could be a cinema hall, it could be a museum, just with the click of a button or a simple hand gesture.
Okay.
And now there are also many museums which are currently placing NFT artwork in metaverses such as Another example is Decentraland, which I think is the most common. A lot of people would have, our younger viewers would have heard of it. It's a virtual territory where you can buy and sell plots of land as NFTs. So the proof of confirmation of this would be in the form of NFT. So for example, if I buy a plot of land in Decentraland, the proof of ownership of that plot of land would be the NFT.
Okay. Got it.
So they're very important in the metaverse for creating exclusive environments and enhancing the digital community and social experiences. And now there are premium NFTs, which are used to gain access to digital world's wealthiest and most affluent communities, and are used for exclusive perks, for getting rewards and other high-end collectibles as well. I don't know if you've heard of the Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunks collection. So these are NFT collections which grant select users access to premium communities with password protected content and even offline parties.
Okay. Oh wow. Yeah. It's like creating a complete different world, isn't it?
It's like creating several complete different worlds. You know, there's not just one. There's a company in Germany, I think, which is creating metaverses which exactly replicate Earth. So if you wanted to, for example, go and purchase the building that you're currently living in, or the house that you're currently living in, you would go to that metaverse and it would be located in that space and it would be called the same thing. So if you want to go and purchase the Empire State Building, maybe you can't afford it in real life, but at some point, metaverse. Now that you understand the metaverse, Arzan, would you exhibit your art in it, and why?
I think I definitely would. I mean, I'm just thinking, I mean, imagine the Tate Modern in virtual this thing, and then I have my sculptures inside. It'll look gorgeous. I'm willing to give it a shot, definitely. And it's wonderful. I mean, what you talk about, it's like you said, you're creating these dream worlds, which you can't physically probably access here, but in that, just like you said, put your glasses on, you go into that world, and it's a world that you create for your own, isn't it? So I think for an artist, even if it's momentary, to have his works, let's say in one of the topmost galleries in the world, would be wonderful. So I think I would definitely take part in that. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I think that wraps up our chat on NFTs and now the metaverse. And I know a lot of it is very technical when we try to understand it while we're talking about it. But hopefully a lot of us will see this in practical application very soon. And, maybe we'll start meeting each other in the metaverse soon enough.
Sure.
The metaverse. Thanks, Arzan. It was an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. That wraps up our chat on NFTs and the metaverse and the art world. And hopefully our next conversation will be in the metaverse.